National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, which now must decide whether or not to strip Milli Vanilli of their Grammy Award as Best New Artist of 1989.
This is Clive Davis. If a pin dropped in the building, he knew.
Yeah. So he
who
knew.
you dropped it. So, you know, come on.
He knew.
Yeah, man, come on.
How the duo Milli Vanilli became the biggest frauds in music is a story that shocked the world.
Right, if you don't lip sync right, it's like oil on a fire. So we freaked out.
Who told you this?
The record company and the producer.
The duo's carefully crafted image came crashing down when a technical glitch exposed their secret.
To lose everything so publicly was harsh. You don't know where to turn to because there's no body around you. You're left alone.
Soon, legal battles followed, with a lawsuit from singer-songwriter David Clayton-Thomas adding to the chaos. To make matters worse, Fab Morvan revealed that their producer, Farian, trapped them, leaving them with no chance.
He was the man. He has the recording studios, the gold records on the wall. So we get in there, we think like, yo, everything's on the up and up. You ain't gonna do nothing. You know, so when it was time to like sign...
But it didn't end there. Pilatus, struggling with substance abuse, attempted suicide and mutiple arrests only deepened their fall.
When I heard the news of Rob's death, everything went blank at that moment. Silence. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't move. I was paralyzed.
Let's get into it. Let's journey back to the late 1980s. It was a time when music was changing fast. People loved catchy songs, colorful music videos, and performers who looked cool and exciting. Pop music was full of energy. Big stars were everywhere, and new artists could become famous overnight. In the middle of this exciting time, two young men came together with a big dream. Their names were Fab Morvan and Pilatus. These two were good-looking, full of charm, and had talent. They wanted to be famous singers, and soon they would be. But their road to fame wasn't simple. Their story is filled with success, secrets, and a huge scandal that shocked the world.
Hello and welcome to Showbiz Today. Lauren Sidney is off today. On the front page, one day after it was revealed that the pop duo Milli Vanilli didn't sing on their hit album, few in the music industry are surprised, but many did not realize the extent.
Fab and Rob met in Germany. They were both chasing the same dream, to make it big in music. Fab was from France. Rob was from Germany, but he was born in the US. When they met, something clicked. They had chemistry. They became good friends and decided to work together. They shared the same goal, to become famous music stars. Their looks and dance skills made them stand out, and they quickly got noticed. They looked like stars. They moved like stars. Everything seemed perfect. But the truth behind the scenes was very different. Fab Morvan was born on May 14, 1966 in Paris, France. Even as a child, Fab loved music. He had a soulful voice and knew how to perform. He practiced a lot and worked hard to improve. He later moved to the US to chase his dream. In Los Angeles, he joined a dance group called The Stocking and started to get some attention. He believed that if he kept working hard, one day he would make it big. Fab never gave up, and that strong spirit helped him go far. Pilatus, the other half of the duo, had a very different start in life. Born in Munich in 1965 to a German mother and an African-American father, Rob was adopted by a German family. But growing up, he struggled deeply with his identity, feeling like an outsider in a country where he never fully fit in. He struggled with many problems, including drug use and not having a stable home. But Rob found peace in dancing. He became a strong dancer with a style that people loved. Later, he moved to Europe and began working as a dancer and model. Though life had been hard, Rob kept pushing forward. When he met Fab, they connected over their shared struggles and dreams. They both wanted to prove they were more than their past. In 1988, everything changed for them. A German music producer named Farian discovered them in Munich. Farian had already been successful with other music groups. he had a sharp eye for talent. When he saw Fab and Rob, he knew they had star power. They were young, good-looking, and full of energy. Farian had a bold idea. He wanted to create a music group that would look amazing and sound great, but he also had a secret plan. He didn't want Fab and Rob to sing. He just wanted them to perform and look good on stage while other people did the real singing behind the scenes. Frank Farian gave the group a name, Milli Vanilli. He worked closely with them, training them to dance, perform, and look like superstars. He told them to lip-sync to songs that were already recorded by other singers. At first, Fab and Rob were unsure, but they wanted fame so badly they agreed.
4 studios, SSL, Neve, with a whole rack.
Right, and these are $1 million mixing boards you're talking about.
Let's not forget about that.
Yeah.
They thought it would just be for a little while. They didn't expect things to go so far. Soon, their first album, Girl You Know It's True, was released in 1989. The songs were catchy, the videos were fun. Fans loved them. Fab and Rob became overnight sensations. The album was a huge success. It had several hit songs. The most famous one, Girl You Know It's True, played everywhere from radio to TV. Fans thought Fab and Rob were the real deal. They were seen dancing and singing on stage, full of life. People copied their dance moves and hairstyles. They won awards and appeared on magazine covers. For a while, it seemed like nothing could go wrong. But behind the scenes, Fab and Rob were hiding a big secret. They knew they weren't singing on the records. They were pretending, and the pressure was growing. As their fame grew, Fab and Rob started to feel trapped. They wanted to sing for real, but Farian wouldn't allow it. He told them they were only famous because of how they looked and performed. They feared that if the truth came out, everything would be over. Still, they began to feel guilty. They loved music, and they didn't want to lie to their fans. The stress was building. They couldn't enjoy their success because they knew it wasn't honest. They were famous, but they weren't free. Fab and Rob also started to ask themselves hard questions. What happens when people find out the truth? How will the fans react? Will they still be loved or will they be hated? Can they live with the guilt of taking credit for something they didn't actually do? These were big, painful questions, but they had no answers. All they could do was keep up the act and hope no one found out. Unfortunately, the truth was about to come out in a very public way.
Hello and welcome to Showbiz Today. Lauren Sidney is off today. On the front page, one day after it was revealed that the pop duo Milli Vanilli didn't sing on their hit album, few in the music industry are surprised, but many did not realize the extent.
On July 21st, 1989, Milli Vanilli was performing live at Lake Compounce, a theme park in Connecticut. The crowd was excited, the energy was high. But then, something went wrong. During their hit song Girl You Know It's True, the backing track started to skip. It kept repeating the words, "Girl, you know it's true," over and over. It was loud and clear. Fab tried to keep going, but it was obvious they were not singing. Everyone could hear the mistake. The performance stopped, and the crowd realized something wasn't right. That moment changed everything. The show had been recorded, and the video spread fast. People were shocked. How could a famous music duo be lip-syncing? It became a huge story in the news. TV shows, magazines, and radio stations all talked about it. Everyone had an opinion. Some were angry. Some felt fooled. Some were just confused. The perfect image of Milli Vanilli was breaking apart, and there was no way to hide it anymore. The media began digging deeper into the story. They asked questions. They looked for answers. Soon, the truth came out. Charles Shaw and John Davis, the real singers, started to speak up. They wanted people to know they were the voices behind the songs. They had kept quiet for a long time, but now they wanted credit. They felt they deserved recognition for their work. At the same time, fans who once loved Fab and Rob began to turn on them. People felt tricked. They had bought albums, tickets, and merchandise, all believing Fab and Rob were the real deal. Now they knew the truth. The fans were hurt and disappointed. The music industry was also upset. If such a big act was fake, who else was lying? The scandal raised serious questions about honesty in music.
We weren't the only ones with hit records lip syncing. They were the ones that got caught.
Fab and Rob were stuck. They had to decide what to do next. Should they keep lying and hope it all blows over? Or should they tell the truth and face the consequences? It was a hard choice, but the pressure became too much. Soon after, Frank Farian himself admitted the truth. He confirmed that Fab and Rob never sang on the records. That confession sealed their fate. The illusion was gone for good. The fallout was quick. In 1990, Milli Vanilli had won a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. But once the truth came out, the Grammy was taken away. It was the first time in history that a Grammy was returned. That moment was both sad and historic. The same industry that once praised them now rejected them.
People, and especially young people, want to go and see what they see in videos, and they don't much care if someone is singing or who's playing that.
In 1990, Milli Vanilli had won the Grammy Award for Best New Artist. This award is one of the biggest honors in the music world. It was a moment of great joy for the group and their fans. But after the big secret came out, people started asking serious questions. How could a group that never sang on their albums win such a big award?
National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, which now must decide whether or not to strip Milli Vanilli of their Grammy Award as Best New Artist of 1989.
Once the truth came out, the music industry was under pressure. People wanted answers. How did no one notice this before? How could the record label, producers, and the Grammy voters all believe the act was real? It made people wonder if the music business cared more about how someone looked and moved on stage than about real talent. Some felt that everyone involved helped create a lie and sell it to the world. The truth about Milli Vanilli's fake singing forced people to look at the music industry with fresh eyes. The Grammy Award was soon taken back. This had never happened before in music history. But there was no other choice. Fans and critics believed that the group had cheated. But the blame didn't fall on just Rob and Fab.
There's too many doubts that have been cast now for us not to go forward and try to find out the truth. The credibility of the Grammy depends on.
The lawsuits kept growing, and the money needed to fight them was massive. It became hard for Rob and Fab to handle the stress. Fans joined together in class action lawsuits, asking for refunds. The number of people suing was so big that it looked like Rob, Fab, and their label might go broke. The legal system now had to decide if selling music under false names was a crime or just bad business. It was a new kind of case, and no one had dealt with anything like it before. While the legal fight continued, Rob and Fab had to make a big choice. They could keep denying the truth and try to protect their image, or they could come clean and accept the consequences. In 1991, they held a press conference and admitted everything. They said they had not sung on their albums, and that they had lip-synced in concerts. They gave back their Grammy Award and even offered to refund fans who felt cheated. This moment showed they were sorry, but it also marked the end of their fame. People also blamed their managers and record label for fooling the public. It seemed like money and fame were more important than honesty. The industry was caught in its own trap, and the Milli Vanilli story became a wake-up call.
But no representative of a major record company would discuss them with CNN on camera. And here's one reason why. Sources tell us Milli Vanilli are not the only imposters.
So, by the time Rob and Fab were clutching that Grammy on live TV, the people behind Milli Vanilli's success already knew the truth. Or at least, that's what Rob and their ex-manager Todd Headley were trying to tell anyone who would listen. This wasn't just a pop scandal brewing. It was a full-blown cover-up that had top Arista Records execs, including Clive Davis himself, knee-deep in what might have been the biggest lie in Grammy history.
If a pin dropped in the building, he knew.
Yeah. So he
who
knew.
dropped it. So, you know, come on.
He knew.
Yeah, man, come on. Yeah, he knew.
According to Rob, they didn't stay silent. He said they told Clive, told Sandy Gallen, told the team, 6 months before the Grammys, and yet the machine kept rolling. Arista kept promoting the album. The group kept touring. The money kept flowing. And Milli Vanilli, a duo that never sang on the album, was still being sold as the future of pop. Rob and Fab were listed on the album credits as vocalists. Magazines praised their sound. The Recording Academy handed them a trophy. But behind the curtain, panic. Hedley remembered everyone at Arista walking on eggshells in the lead-up to the Grammy show, terrified that something, anything, could expose the truth. So much so, they didn't even want Rob and Fab to show up. They were scared the whole illusion could crack on live television. It wasn't just a label pretending not to know. Hedley claimed it was an intentional marketing strategy, a corporate decision to prioritize image and profit over transparency.
You see, that's one of the things that's been kept really, really, really secret. I don't know how he went about like saying, because they had to disclose that to him.
Right.
But
Rob and Fab, just the face of it all. The industry didn't care. They had a sellable product, and that was all that mattered. When the fallout started, Arista tried to distance itself. An executive claimed they were just distributors, that they had no way of knowing who actually sang on the album, despite working closely with the group. But to Hedley, that was laughable. Everyone knew. They just never thought the lie would catch up with them. Rob and Fab released a statement of their own, saying they'd begged to be part of the creative process and told everyone involved they didn't want to fake it. But their voices were drowned out by contracts, pressure, and promises that never came true. They were told they'd sing on future tracks, on tour, on something, but it never happened. Hedley, who's since written a book about his time managing the group, summed it up like this: they may not have deserved the Grammy for their performance, but they damn sure deserved an Oscar. After admitting the truth, Rob and Fab tried to start fresh. They wanted to make music using their real voices. They hoped people would give them another chance. But it wasn't easy. The music industry had turned its back on them. Record companies didn't want to work with them anymore. Fans were unsure if they could trust them. They tried to launch a new music career under their real names, but the shadow of the scandal was always there. Rob's problems didn't stop. His addiction and legal issues continued. He was trying to survive, but it became too much. In 1998, Rob died at the young age of 32. It was a sad end to a troubled life. His death made people think about the heavy cost of fame and lies. It also made others think twice before judging someone who made mistakes. For Rob, the fallout from wasn't just a career crisis. It was personal, deeply personal. Long before the fame, Rob had been dealing with identity struggles and emotional pain. Born to a German mother and an African-American father, and raised by a German adoptive family, he grew up feeling like he didn't belong anywhere. That sense of disconnection followed him into adulthood, even as he chased his dreams of making it big. So when the opportunity came, the glitz, the stage lights, the fans chanting his name, it felt like validation, like everything he'd gone through had finally led to something real. But it wasn't real. The success of Milli Vanilli was built on a foundation of smoke and mirrors. And when that illusion shattered, Rob was left standing in the debris, exposed and empty-handed. He'd battled addiction in the past, but after the scandal, those demons came roaring back. Without a support system and with the world laughing at his downfall, Rob spiraled. The rejection wasn't just professional, it was deeply psychological. In the years that followed, he struggled to find stability. He was arrested in 1993 for assault and vandalism. The headlines now treating him like a cautionary tale. Not a pop star, just another tabloid tragedy. By 1996, things had gotten worse. He was sentenced to 3 months in jail and 6 months in a rehab facility. The very thing that once gave him purpose, fame, had now become a source of shame.
Yeah, they pulled me over, man. Unfortunately. Record coming out soon. Yeah. Scandal, I guess.
But there was still a flicker of hope. In 1998, Rob and Fab got back in the studio together. They were working on a new project, Back and in Attack, with real vocals, real stories, and a real shot at redemption. For Rob, it was supposed to be a reset, a way to finally tell his truth and rebuild what had been lost. He was ready to start again, but life didn't give him the chance. In April of that year, just as the project was gaining momentum, Rob was found dead in a hotel room in Frankfurt. The cause? An accidental overdose of alcohol and prescription pills.
While he was alone in a dark hotel room, with nothing but booze, pills, and a lifetime of disappointment to keep him company, Rob Pilatus died.
His death wasn't just the end of a comeback. It was the end of a life that had been pushed, pulled, and broken by the very machine that once put him on a pedestal. And while many saw it as just another rock-bottom story, the truth is more painful.
I knew it was coming. I knew that this day would come one day. I think everybody did. Everybody I've talked to in the last 2 days since this came out, we're not surprised.
Rob wasn't a con artist. He was a performer caught in a system that cared more about image than authenticity. And once the image cracked, they let him fall. Fab Morvan's story didn't end with the Milli Vanilli scandal. In many ways, it started there. After the truth came out and the world turned its back, instead of disappearing, he chose to rebuild, piece by piece, with honesty and intention. After Rob's death, Fab took a hard look at his life and started the long road toward personal growth and redemption. He took vocal lessons, dove into songwriting, and began working behind the scenes as a producer. He wasn't chasing fame anymore. He just wanted to be heard for who he really was. In 2003, he released his solo album, Love Revolution, showcasing his voice, his message, and his genuine artistry. Fab continued to push forward creatively. He formed the group Fabulous Addiction in 2012, and later worked on a project called Night Air in 2014. Through these ventures, he reconnected with audiences, not as a pop product, but as a real artist with a story to tell. That story, of course, has been one he hasn't shied away from. Over the years, Fab has spoken openly about the deception, the pressure, and the pain of what happened. He's participated in interviews and documentaries, including the 2023 Milli Vanilli feature on Paramount+, where he reflected on the price of fame, the danger of illusion, and the value of truth. His journey hasn't been without personal challenges. He went through a divorce from his former wife and manager, Kim Marlowe, but has since found peace in his private life. Now, based in Amsterdam, Fab is a proud father of 4 with his partner Tessa van der Steen, focusing on family and well-being alongside his creative work. While the Milli Vanilli scandal will always be a part of his story, Fab Morvan's life is proof that you can come back from mistakes. He didn't run from the truth. He faced it, learned from it, and grew. In doing so, he became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that fame built on lies can crumble fast, but growth built on truth can last. The story of Milli Vanilli is not just about music. It is a story about truth, pressure, and learning from mistakes. It shows how people can be pushed to lie because of the desire for fame and money. But it also shows that telling the truth and facing the results is better in the end. The scandal changed how people look at music stars. Since then, fans and record companies have paid more attention to real talent and honesty.